Hey, Sean G here from Chasing the Truth. You're about to get some of the best of samples of shows I've done over the last 5 years. God bless y'all and enjoy.
Before it all started. She shared a story with me, man, that was crazy. And I'm pretty sure she gave me permission to tell this one, but she's in New York and she rides the train back and forth to work. And this particular day, she's on the train riding and she has like a little hoodie over her head. And she's got her head down and she's looking at her cell phone. And she said, and she's got that New York accent. She was like, "Yo, Doc, I'm riding on a train and everything goes quiet." And I'm like, "Why is everything quiet?" So when she looks up, she sees this man walking, and he's walking amongst the passengers of the train, but it seemed as if all of them were in a trance or they were frozen. And she said when she kind of looked at him, she couldn't see his eyes because his eyes were down under this hat, like a regular ball cap. But she felt like this wasn't normal, it wasn't human. And so she tried to shrink her body. You know how you roll your shoulders in and you put your hands between your legs and you just shrink yourself down and make yourself as small as possible so the guy couldn't see her. And as he passes her, he stops and he says, with this guttural voice, like somebody's talking with water in their mouth, he says, "Hey, beautiful, you can't hide underneath that hood." And so she looks up and she sees this kind of pale white face, but she can't remember the details of the face. But she sees a face like you know how you look at someone, but it's blurry? She sees it's pale and it's white, but it's kind of blurry. And she said, "Yo, dog, like my whole insides were twisting and turning, like my gut, like my intestines felt like it was twisting and turning. And I was so afraid." And then he just keeps walking forward. And the further he got away from her, the more normal the surroundings started to feel. Like people started coming back to behaving and acting like normal people. But when he was in the direct vicinity, it was almost like they were frozen and like moving in slow motion. And as the further he got away from her, the more normal things got. And I was like, "Well, babe, what did you do?" She's like, "I got off that train at the next stop and I waited for the next one. I got on the next one because I refused to stay on that train." And I was like, whoa. So I don't know what that was or who that was, but when you get into cities with extremely dense populations like that, my personal belief is there's all kind of things that roam amongst us because there's so many people jammed together. Like on the New York City streets where you can barely get up the street, ain't no telling who you're running into or what you're running into or what you're bumping
Oh,
into
yeah.
as you're moving around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, Crazy stuff. Then another super duper scary story. I shared some of this one. I think I shared some of this one with Dave Scott. This one actually came from a guy whose house we're buying. Literally, we have the house on the contract right now.
Is that the one
He
you
had,
shared the picture with me?
yeah. Remember I shared that picture where people's like, "Oh, it's blurry," but no, that was a white shape in that picture. I saw it. You know what I'm saying? Like I could see
Yeah.
the figure. So that day I took the picture and we put the house on the contract recently. So now it's going through the financing and we done been back in the house and figured out how we gonna renovate it, knocking out walls, adding the kitchens, adding another bathroom, whoop the whole nine. And so I started talking to him more about the house because I'm like, "Yo, bro, like there's certain entities and houses that make it harder for you to sell a house because they don't want anybody in the house." And I was like, "Dude, I can't be in a situation to where it's $80,000 for me to make, but the $80,000 is not going to be made because some family entity, your uncle or auntie or uncle, are bugging out and they don't want to leave." I'm like, "So you need to tell me what's going on because we're going to go back in there. We're going to kick them out." And he was like, "Well, I think that was my grandpa." And I was like, "Well, okay, well, cool." Because that particular day when I was in the house where I had that encounter, I was just walking through the house. I was by myself. And all of a sudden I got hit with this smell like an old person, like somebody really, really old that was dying was like right in my face. And the scent was so strong that I started getting nauseous. I had to leave outside because I was going to vomit. And then I went back in and I took those pictures and that's what I got. Right.
Yeah.
So I tell him to start telling me about the house. Now, recently he's moved his mother and his grandmother out of their house, and they're living with him. So he and I are talking, and his grandmother is in the background, and she's laughing. And I'm like, Miss G, what you laughing at? I said, put your grandma on the phone. She's like, that wasn't my husband. I was like, well, what was it? She's like, that's that demon that's in that house. I was like, what you mean there's a demon in the house? She's like, yeah, there's a demonic entity in the house. And I was like, well, what makes you think that? Man, this old lady starts telling me that prior to 1985, 85, 86, she never was a hoarder. She never, like, she always kept her house clean and beautiful and pristine. And like, and then she had a guest come over to the house, these people from California, and they spent the night. And it was her husband's extended family. So like a cousin, a second cousin that came over. And they spent the night in one bedroom. And before they left, she said she went into that bedroom and there was like this blood on the door seal. You know how you have not the door seal, but you know how you have the door frame where you close the door, you got the white frame around it? It was blood across the top of the door frame. And she was trying to figure out why there was this blood on the door frame, so she washes the blood off and doesn't worry about it. And from that point on, she started having this demonic activity in the house. Like the door to that bedroom would open and close on its own. Excuse me, it would open and close on its own. Stuff started breaking around the house. The refrigerator would break, the washing machine would break, the hot water heater would break, and all this crazy stuff started going on. And it got worse and worse because then she started getting sick, and she got sick to where she couldn't clean up. And then the house started getting messy. And then because she couldn't throw stuff away, she started hoarding stuff in the house. And she started keeping stuff around. And whatever that is that just flashed by my eyes, you need to leave my house right now because I ain't talking to you. Get out my house. And so she started hoarding things. And I know for a fact that she, along with wow, Sean, there's some crazy stuff going on. Something just pulled on the back of my shirt while I'm sitting in my chair. That's crazy. She, along with her daughter, which is his mother, and his sister all lived in that house. The sister, which is his older sister, started beating the mom, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, just insane stuff going on. I don't think this thing like me talking about him. Started beating the mom, all kind of crazy crap started going on in his household to the point to where they were buried under stuff. When he moved them, look at this, the phone ringing, like everything, bro, trying to stop me from telling this story. You see this?
Yeah.
So now we really gonna tell the story because you're pissing me off pulling on my shirt. And then when I get off of here, I'm gonna deal with you. Everything, like the house is, jam-packed with stuff. They hoarding. And when he was moving out, there was a U-Haul, like the big U-Haul truck full of junk. I went over there because I wanted to see the house, but he was like, bro, you can't come look at it because you can't get in. Now, I didn't understand it. Like I didn't understand that you can't walk into a house because there's so much stuff in the house. I'd never really seen anything like that. But when I got to the house and I saw this U-Haul truck jammed with junk, I mean, from the base of the U-Haul to the ceiling, all the way back, jammed up with trash, books, encyclopedias, blenders that had never been opened, phone books. Like, for who keeps phone books? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody even got a phone book. Stupid stuff. Coffee, used bottles of champagne, unopened bottles of liquor. It was just insane. Like, I mean, absolutely insane. And he got them out of there and moved them, he dumped all that stuff, got them out of there and moved them to where he is. So now we're in the process of buying the house, and I'll be damned if whatever it is forces me to lose money, because I ain't losing no money because you upset, you're going to go back to hell where you came from. So, but they were having all kinds of demonic activity in that household. And the worst thing she told me was that the refrigerator literally fell over on her. And so anybody listening, imagine your refrigerator, right? How does your refrigerator fall over forward on you? It doesn't. It's not how it works. Refrigerator set still, is right there where it belongs. It doesn't go anywhere. Not like, we have earthquakes in New Orleans. We don't have that. So the refrigerator fell over. And then his mother verified the story about the refrigerator falling over. And so during this conversation, he discovers that the reason why he grew up with all this turmoil was because there was a demonic entity in his household. And he never knew it. He never knew that he had anything like that, which was an eye opener for him, and kind of scary to him as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is the same guy who just recently, we have a mutual friend who's an Army Ranger. And he called me and he was like, hey, man, I want to request that you pray for our friend because he wants to get his promotion on his job. And he was like, your prayers are pretty powerful, do some praying for him. And I actually forgot to pray for the dude that night. I was too busy praying for myself. I forgot. And the next day, he prays for him, lights some candles for him, and he leaves. And on his way to New Orleans, he stops on the side of the road. Now, pause the story right there. Let's go back. This same friend of ours, at night in his dreams, he speaks to this demonic entity called Asmodeus. Asmodeus is is a prince of hell, basically, is who the hell Asmodeus is. He was a fallen angel. He fell with Lucifer and everybody else. You can go find his name inside of the Testament of King Solomon. But this guy's been talking to Asmodeus in his sleep for over 15 years. So Asmodeus tells him things that are happening, in his life. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. He has an actual relationship with whatever this entity is. And so when he initially tells me about praying for him, I'm like, well, I'm going to do the prayers, but I think subconsciously I didn't, because I know that this guy's associated with a prince of hell. I didn't intentionally do it, but I think subconsciously my brain was like, yeah, we should pray for him, but I don't think I'm bumping into business, getting involved in somebody else's business like that. Well, my friend does his prayers. He does everything for me. He gets on the road. He's driving to New Orleans. He typically leaves at like 2:30 in the morning, so he drives through the night. He stops at about 5 o'clock in the morning at a gas station in Lake Charles. Gets out of his car, leaves the driver's door open, goes to the trunk, opens the trunk. He has a Jeep Cherokee. You know how the trunk kind of folds up on the Cherokee, that it opens upward. Opens the trunk, grabs a bottle of water, drinks the bottle of water, closes the trunk, gets back in the car. His keys are missing. Checks his pants pocket, can't find the keys. Crawls under the car, can't find the keys. Looks through the trunk, can't find the keys. Looks everywhere, can't find the keys. Goes inside into the gas station, looks at the surveillance cameras with the guy that's running the gas station, verifies that he has not been anywhere. It wasn't like he was sleepwalking. The damn keys are gone.
Wow.
Now, the keys were in the ignition when he got out the car. Now, this guy's in the military. His keys, and I've driven his car before, his car keys is not like your car key. It's not like one key or two keys. His keys are like 7 keys with a string on it that attaches, that he drops around his neck to where, and it's one of those little camouflage military strings. You know what I'm talking about, the little rope that you wrap. That's what's on his keys. I've driven his car. The damn keys are gone, missing. Now, how do I know this? Because he calls me at 5:45 in the morning. I just so happened to be up. I don't know why I was up. I think I woke up and I don't know. I think it was like a Saturday morning. I was up. Yeah, I was getting ready to go for my walk. And I'm laying across the bed and the phone rings. And anytime one of my friends calls me between 1 a.m. and 5 o'clock in the morning, either you shot, stabbed, robbed, in jail, something bad happened. Ain't nobody calling you that early. So I'm like, yo, what's up, man? He's like, man, thank God you woke. I was like, what's up? He's like, bro, I can't find my keys. And he's freaking out. He's like, yo, there's no way that these keys should be missing. I'm afraid, man. I'm scared. I need you to pray for him. I was like, well, I'm not processing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, my brain is not processing. My brain is saying, bro, you look for your damn keys. You know what I'm saying? Like, you bugging out. He's like, no, you're not listening to me, man. My keys are gone. And I'm like, well, what do you mean your keys are gone? You looked under the seat? He's like, listen to me, man. I looked every fucking way in his car. My keys are not here. I was like, okay, so let's walk back through your steps. What did you do? So we go back through the steps. And he says, I said, all right, Go back, and I'm the one that suggested he go and talk to the guy about the surveillance. She's already been in there and talked to him and looked at it. All I did was get out of the car, go to the trunk. I left the door open, opened the trunk, stood there, drunk a bottle of water, closed the trunk, got back in the car. I didn't even need gas. The keys are missing. So he's having a meltdown, and I don't want to tell him, hey man, I think this may be that demonic thing Asmodeus, because you was messing around in this dude's business, who pretty much talks to him and they homeboys. I didn't want to tell him that, but he put two and two together after about 10 minutes on the phone. He said, wait, remember you told me that when you're butting people's business that's under demonic influences that the demon sends you a message? I was like, yeah. He's like, Eddie, which is our friend's name. He's like, Eddie talks to that thing Asmodeus. And I was like, yep. And he was like, you think that's what it is? I said, I can't think of nothing else. He was like, ain't this some... And so he's like on the phone, like he's literally cursing and screaming and hollering, all because I prayed for him. He's like, I got something for him. And I'm like, look, bro, let's get you squared away. I called Papa Lock. Papa Lock doesn't make keys. End up calling a guy who's a locksmith. And when he answers the phone, he's half asleep. And I'm like, sir, my name is James. I'm calling from New Orleans. My friend is stranded. He lost his keys. And he's like, well, what do you mean he lost his keys? Like, he lost his car keys. He's like, well, did he go out drinking or something? I said, no. He's stranded on the side of the road at the gas station. He lost his keys. He's like, well, that don't make sense. I'm like, I know. I said, but I'm going to put you on three-way with him. Let's get him some keys. So he's like, well, I need the VIN number. I need this. I need that. And I was like, well, you know what? God bless you, man. I know I'm waking you up out of your sleep. And he was like, well, okay, man, no problem. So they talk. We get off the phone. He was like, I'm going to my office. I'm going to get the key and I'll call you back. That guy calls me back 15 minutes later. He says, man, I almost had an accident on the way over here to make this key. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, man, like 18-wheeler almost hit me. He said, now it came out of nowhere. I looked both ways, but I didn't see it. And I was like, wow. And he was like, well, I'm getting the key cut. So then after that, I got my friend to the point to where I'm like, all right, he should be all right. I text him, hey, bro, I'm going for my walk. Call me when you're in your car and moving. So finally he calls me. He's like, bro, I can't understand, what happened to my keys. So he gets to New Orleans, stays with me for that night. And he's like, bro, I just don't understand. Like, I'm sitting in front of him. He's like, bro, I just don't understand what's going on with these keys. And I was like, bro, it doesn't matter. Let it go. Because I'm trying to calm him down. I'm like, let it go. Don't worry about it. You just lost your keys. But it just goes to show you, when we start talking about spiritual forces, just like me talking about that thing in the house, something pulling on my shirt, a black shadow out the corner of my eye, a chill coming over my body, it just goes to show you that. And by the way, for the record, I'm sitting next to an open window, smoking a cigar. So it's not like the house is cold. The cigar is hanging out of the window. It's 90 degrees outside, but the chill came over my body. There's hot air coming in. It just goes to show you that when you deal in this spiritual realm, there's consequences. And unfortunately, like YouTube, right? You get the average YouTube horror story, right? It's like this. It's Sunday night, my cousin and I were at a campfire. And as we stood by the campfire, we saw this ghostly being appear in front of us. And that ghostly being scared me to my core, made my blood run cold and chills come over my body. I couldn't run. I was afraid. I couldn't even think. I didn't know what to do. So my friend got up and ran away. And that's their story, right? It's BS. It's bull, because the reality of what really happens to people versus the stuff that they make up, which is called creepypasta. 90% of the stuff on YouTube is creepypasta. The reality is so much more different than that bull. The reality is it affects you. The reality is it physically manifests in your body. The reality is you sitting in a chair and something pulling on the back of your shirt. That's the reality of it. And it's almost, it's an affront to what really goes on. And that's why I only tell true stories, because I understand that, that's bull, man. And you got people listening to that. And what they don't even understand is the average person who listens to creepypastas in their sleep, all you're doing is programming your subconscious mind and open yourself up to that stuff. Even though it's not real, you're still opening yourself up to it. But you're not armed to fight it, because they're just giving you the BS, but they're not even giving you the solution to the problem. Where, let's say you did have a black-eyed kid show up at your doorstep, what you gonna do? Well, I don't know. I just heard stories about them. Let's say you did have a demonic entity come in your house, and the way you know it's demonic is because you got a candle lit and the flame starts to lift up off the candle and go upwards. And water in the bathroom is running in the shower, and the water starts to turn and go upwards. That's how you know it's demonic, because it's the exact opposite of what God intended things to be. So you know it to be demonic because you're sitting next to a window that's open and there's hot air coming in the window, but then you're getting something cold hitting you. It's the exact opposite of what God put in the order that God put in place. But they're not talking about that because they're just monetizing stories. They're just playing stories. It's make believe. But this crap is not make. I didn't want to say shit, but this is not make believe. And that's the one thing that I want to get across to people. Like, this is not make believe. There are people who are experiencing terrifying things. There are people who are not equipped to defend themselves spiritually, who are experiencing things that's turning their hair white. They're getting gray hairs. They're gaining weight. Their finances are being destroyed. I mean, literally being destroyed. Doctors that I've spoken to who make $13,000, $14,000 a month, but broke every month because there's always something going wrong. Whether the car is breaking, or whether one of their kids getting arrested, or whether their wife is just running up the credit cards. It's these spiritual attacks that are coming to people, and they don't even know that they're being attacked, man. And it's all intertwined. It's all intermingled. And that's why when I talk about my beliefs and me knowing God and me trusting God, and I talk about Jesus Christ, I don't care if anybody gets offended, because what I want you to understand is I'm not being preachy or religious or anything like that. I just need you to understand that it's real, and that because it's real and because you're seeing that manifestation, it automatically validates if the dark is real, the light is real. You see what I'm saying? Just like consequentially, if the light is real, the dark is real. And just like now, you come in my house and you bother me, I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to go harder because you came in my house and decided to bother me.
Well, let me add a little bit to your story here. Now, Dark Waters did share his pictures with me that day. I think it's probably that very same moment he's talking about when the story started, that he was out in his car being sick. He did send me a picture. I'm actually looking at the picture. I looked through my text messages from you, and I see that thing in there. And you left out one thing. What did I tell you when you showed me that picture? You texted me after I said something to you.
You asked me if I took something from the house.
Well, I asked if you took something from the house. Yeah, which apparently it was the picture of this thing. But I also told you something else about the house.
I don't remember what you told me.
Yeah, well, you texted me. How the hell did you know that? Is that
I do remember that, but I don't remember you. I don't remember what you asked me. You asked me somebody died in the house?
No, I said there's two people, I think, I'll have to go back that far. I'm on my MacBook, so I can look at the media that I've sent back and forth. I'm just looking at the picture. And I remember saying, there's two people involved. One is dead, one is not. And it looks like the house has been cleaned recently. I mean, literally just stripped or something to that effect. And
I do remember that now.
Yeah, and you texted me, how the hell do you know that? And literally as soon as I read the text, you were calling. We had a little short conversation about it. Now, as you were talking about seeing that light in front of your eyes, and you're telling whatever the hell it is to get the hell out. Literally, how I'm set up is, this is going to be kind of weird, but I'll go ahead and say, I've had issues with sound and reverb and stuff with my last podcast, and I've fixed it by sticking my microphone in my bedroom closet, and it takes care of the reverb. Mm-hmm. So I've got this floor light, one of these big 6-foot tall lights that is lighting inside of my thing. It's behind my back. I'm the only one in this house. Okay? I'm sitting here and my light is literally, arm's length from me and is way above me. I'm wheelchair bound because I've lost my leg, so I can't stand up. Literally, I have to put my hand up over top of my head to get a shadow on my computer. Mm-hmm. There was literally a shadow went over my computer while you were talking about that.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah.
I 100% believe it because whatever that little thing was is it is caught in his feelings right now because I'm talking about it, but I'm not talking about it to glorify it. I'm talking about it to glorify God, and that's the lesson he's gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today because I'm tired and I had too much to do, and you're coming around here messing with me. You're gonna learn, but um, un- unfortunately, that's the dangers of this. When you talk about those things, you attract those things because it actually gives them attention. But that's why I always say I'm not talking about them to glorify them. I'm talking about them to glorify God. So people can understand that, yeah, that evil does exist, but God does exist too. And some things you can't fight off yourself, can fight it for you. And so even though I'm talking boastful and crazy right now, I ain't about to fight it. God's gonna fight it for me. The minute we hang up, he's gonna start fighting. He probably already fighting it now, but I'm gonna make sure that that's what's going on. The minute we hang up, I'm going in to ask God to deal with it because I told you last night something pulled my leg
All right.
in my sleep. You know what I'm saying? That's like, and it woke me up. So it's like, okay, y'all around here playing. I got too much stuff I need to do. I got things that need to happen. You can't be roaming around here just acting a fool just because you feel like it. That's just, I'm a child of God and you don't have the right to do that. And that's not going to happen. So, but I'm just telling you guys scary stories. And those are some of the scary stories that I have. Some of them personal, some of them, and this is how close it is when that kind of stuff starts manifesting to people that you know. Another story, my nephew, and this is a great story. My nephew, who's 5 years old, 6 years old now, him and my sister are riding in a car, and he's in the back seat. And this dude is bad, bro. Like this little dude, he's not bad when he's around me because I smack the hell out of him, but he's bad when he's with his mom. He's one of those kids that unbuckles himself and starts moving around in the car like he just bugging out. So he's in the car with his mom coming across the GNO bridge, and he's riding in the car. He's riding in the car, and he unbuckles himself, and he climbs all the way in the front seat. And she's like, "Sit your behind down. Why you climbing in the front seat?" He's like, "Mommy, we about to get hit from a car. Somebody about to hit us, mommy." So he climbs out of the back seat into the front seat. Little dude buckles himself up, and 2 minutes later, bam, slammed into the back of her car. And she's freaking out. And he's like, "I told you somebody was going to hit us." And she telling me the story. I said, "Bring him by my house." So he comes over. He walks into the house, and I give him a Gatorade, which he promptly spills onto the floor the minute I gives it to him. And he's like, "I'm sorry, Uncle Jay." He calls me Uncle JJ. He's like, "I'm sorry, Uncle JJ." I was like, "Bro, let me ask you a question." He's like, "Yes." "How did you know that a car was going to hit you?" He said, "I saw it." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "The angel showed it to me." I was like, "What angel? The one that touched me on my forehead?" And I was like, "What did it tell you to do?" "The angel just showed it to me that I was going to get hit. So I got up and I climbed in the front seat. Mommy's still mad at me, but the angel showed it to me." And I was like, "Wow." And
Wow.
then he says, "Can I go in the basement?" And I was like, "For what?" "I just want to go down there." So he goes down the basement. I'm like, "Whatever, you can go by yourself." He goes down the basement and he comes back up and he says, "Uncle JJ, that person that was in your basement is gone." I was like, "What person?" He was like, "The person that was always in the corner of the basement by the painting." He's like, "He'd be standing there all the time when I go down there. He's not really scary, but he's not really nice, but he's gone." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. You know what happened to him?" "I don't know, but he's not down there no more." And he goes back out and sits on the porch by himself in a little chair. And he's just sitting there chilling, wiggling his legs. And he's like, "Come outside, hang out with me." So I'm just out there talking to a little dude. Like he's something going on with that kid the way he got a gift, like a serious gift. And I think that's why he's so bad because he's gifted. He's just bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Super smart kids tend to be bad, but it's it's a part of life, and it's a part of New Orleans life. It's a part of life anywhere. Once you're open to this stuff, but what I will tell people is, if you're gonna be open to it, some people want to be open to it. They want to see something. I want to see a demon. I want to see a dog man. I want to see a Bigfoot. Well, if you're gonna open yourself up to it, you better learn how to protect yourself. That's the one thing I'll tell you. If you're gonna decide that this is what you're gonna do, and bada bing, bada boom, you want to be a spiritual investigator, you want to go to haunted houses, then you better know how to protect yourself. You know, and I ain't talking about no little amulet or no stone. I mean, you better get some real protection to protect you.
All right. Right. Well, crazy stories, man. So we're going to have to do this again. Either you interview me or I interview you later. So
Yeah, well, my show is coming soon, and we going in. Mine probably be a 4 hour show, and I'll have plenty of time to talk to you because I want the people to hear about your NDE. I don't know how much you told people. Hopefully, you'll hold off.
yeah, I
Um,
haven't. There's no way I can tell people about everything. There's just a handful. Probably 6 people know some of the story. Nobody knows all of the story. Not even a tenth of it. Not even a fifth of it, or not a 5% of it. It's I've told you a bit of it one night, but I haven't released much of it all actually. So it probably scares some people. Unfortunately, hope
I
not.
know it will.
Hope not.
Scared me. Scared me. It scared the hell out of me.
I didn't. I
It,
didn't even tell you about the time I met the devil.
you
Did I?
did tell me about that.
Oh, I did. Oh,
Yep,
okay. Yeah.
you
I
told me about that.
don't recall that, but yeah, no. I'm gonna
It was one
be.
of those late night conversations, like 12 o'clock. You told me.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll be happy to get on board with you anytime to talk whatever. I'm open book. I don't have anything to hide.
Well, that sounds good. Do you mind if we end this with a prayer so to make sure whatever it is that's jumping around don't jump on nobody else?
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
All right. Most gracious Heavenly Father, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, Adonai, the God of Noah, the God of Moses, today we humbly come to you and ask you that you spread protection over anyone under the sound of our voice that have heard this story. We also humbly request that you send down your guardian angels to protect each and every one of us who participate in this field, from the top celebrity in the paranormal field down to the smallest guy on YouTube who shares stories and with everyone. We ask that you send your warrior angels to defeat and destroy anything that is negative, anything that's demonic, any force of any spirit that wishes to hurt, harm, or penetrate anyone that seeks to do your will. I say this and I ask this of you humbly. I tell you this with adoration, and I honor you, and I implore you to protect us, for we're not powerful enough to protect ourselves from these spiritual entities. Only through the blood of your son, Jesus Christ, are we protected, and I plead that blood over myself, my family, Sean, his family, his extended family, the listeners, mothers, fathers, sisters, daughters, uncles, aunties, anyone that this audio comes in contact with. I humbly ask that you bind and destroy any negative entity or force that wants to use this to glorify itself, and only use this to glorify you, Father, and teach people about your goodness and your mercy. All these things I ask in the name of your darling son, Jesus Christ, who bled and died for us. Amen.
Amen.
I think
So,
that's a good way to end it.
oh yeah. Well, folks, this has been James Dark Waters, and I'm Sean Graham. I hope that you have a blessed day whenever you do listen to this, and appreciate it. Appreciate it, Dark.
Appreciate you, buddy. We'll be talking soon.
All right, we'll talk to you later, man.
All right.
Bye. Hey, folks, thanks for listening to this best stuff sample of some of my 5 years in doing this radio show podcast called Chasing the Truth. Please visit iamdarkwaters.com, or you can email me at seang@iamdarkwaters.com. And my numbers and links are in the description below. God bless y'all, and I'll catch you on the flip side.